So if you own an 09-18 Ram 1500 and you do not have the Ram boxes in your truck bed, then the Black Horse Off-Road Roll Bar is going to be a very cool upgrade for a couple of reasons. Obviously, one of those big reasons is looks, right? These things are pretty cool. They've been around for a long time, longer than I've been alive. You've probably seen them on some pretty cool off-road builds, so it's nice to see them coming back for these newer trucks. They definitely have a classic look to them. One of the other reasons I really like this is because you can actually take it all the way. There's an optional light bar mount that goes up top here. You can install up to a 50-inch LED light bar, or if you wanted to go real old school, you can even do some cubes or round lights, whether they be halogens or LEDs. Now, besides looks, there's plenty of functionality here as well. This thing is certainly pretty sturdy. It's made out of 4-inch diameter steel tubing, and it has a black powder coat finish on it. So it's safe to say that the functionality and the durability certainly match the badass looks. Other than that, it installs quite easily. It is not a bolt-on job. There is some very minor drilling required, but it's very straightforward, and I'm actually going to show you guys how to get it done step by step. So I'm going to go ahead and give the install a moderate 2 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. Even taking your time and wiring up the third brake light shouldn't take you more than maybe 2 or 3 hours, and that's using some pretty basic hand tools. So if you like the look of the Black Horse Off-Road Roll Bar, you want to get some cool functionality for your truck bed, maybe a little bit of protection, or you just like that retro look, go ahead and stick around. Let's go ahead and show you how to get this install done. To install your new roll bar, you will need the following tools. The included Allen keys, a center punch or transfer punch, safety glasses, a Phillips head screwdriver, a standard drive ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 13mm deep socket, an 18mm socket and 18mm wrench, a 7/32 drill bit, a 1/2-inch drill bit or a step bit, wire crimpers and snippers, spade connectors and quick splice connectors, a knife, a pair of snips, electrical tape, a hammer, and a hand drill. Obviously an optional tool, includes a cordless impact. So like I mentioned earlier, this is actually a pretty easy install. I know the instructions look really long and involved. It's very helpful that you actually set up all the parts and tools you need for each step. I actually did that for you guys. So we're gonna be doing a lot of work on the table. Before I go through each step, I'm actually gonna show you exactly how you need to set up all those bolts, nuts, and washers. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show you how to connect the 2 primary bars together. So to connect the 2 primary bars, you're gonna need to set up your tools just like you see here. If you know your metric sizes, these are M8 bolts and M8 nuts. You're gonna need a crush washer and a flat washer. You'll thread each bolt through the connecting points on the tubes, and you'll secure them with another flat washer and another nut. To tighten everything down, you're gonna need the second largest Allen key in the kit, and you'll also need either a 13mm deep socket or a 13mm wrench. All right, so go ahead and grab your bolts with those crush washers and flat washers, thread them through the holes on either end, like so. Then once you've done that, go ahead and grab the other flat washers and nuts and secure them on the other side. All right, once you've got those hand tightened, go ahead and drive them home with your Allen key and your socket or wrench. You want to make sure that these plates are set up the way I have them on the table, with this flat plate followed by this red colored plate, and then the logo plate on top. Now to secure all this stuff together, you're going to be connecting them to the tubes using the hardware that I have here. These are the M6 bolts and nuts, otherwise simply known as the smallest bolts and nuts in the kit. It's the same setup. You'll need crush washers, flat washers, thread them through the plates, secure them with more flat washers and the nuts. You'll need a 10mm socket and the second smallest Allen key in the kit. All right, once you got one side done, obviously you're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. All right, now that we have those logo brackets on either side, we can install the support brackets to actually secure this nice setup to the truck itself. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what hardware you need to get that done. So this install step's pretty straightforward. You're gonna grab what they call gum covers, these nice little rubber O-rings, secure those to the bottom of the tubes themselves. You're then gonna secure the brackets using these 4 large bolts, and you're gonna need the largest Allen key in the kit. All right, now we have our mounting brackets installed and tightened down. We're gonna go ahead and throw this thing onto our truck where it's gonna live, make sure everything's lined up, and then I'm gonna show you guys where you need to drill some holes. All right, so now we have our roll bar in place and we're happy with where it's sitting. Generally speaking, you want it flush with the bulkhead of the bed itself. Once you've got everything lined up and you're happy with where it's gonna live, you can go ahead and mark the holes that you're gonna drill using a couple of punches. All right, so once you have your holes marked with that center punch, you can go ahead and pull the roll bar back off the truck. I'm gonna show you guys how to set up all the hardware for these brackets, and I'm also gonna show you what hardware you should use to drill out these holes. All right, so this is the last of the hardware that you need to install your bar. There are a couple different ways you can go about drilling the holes, but I like to start off with the center punch. That way I'm sure that I've marked the metal underneath that plastic liner. Now, when you go to drill the hole, you can either drill a pilot hole. I like to use the 7/32 bit and then step it up to the 1/2 inch that we're gonna need. Or if you wanna be a little advanced, you can use one of these bits right here. Again, you're gonna need a 1/2 inch hole either way. The hardware that you're gonna need is the last in the kit. You're gonna need these large bolts with crush washers and flat washers on them. You're gonna thread these through the bar and the truck bed itself, and then you're gonna tighten them down with these flat washers and these nuts. To tighten all this hardware down, you're gonna need an 18mm wrench as well as an 18mm socket. All right, so now we have all our holes drilled and cleaned up. We're gonna throw our bull bar back on and we're gonna throw that hardware in place that I mentioned earlier. Again, you're gonna need an 18mm wrench and an 18mm socket to tighten all that stuff down. All right, so we finally have our roll bar installed. As you can see, this thing is pretty sturdy. It's at least sturdy enough to hold somebody like me. Now the fun part comes, and that's actually wiring up our third brake light. Now I didn't mention anything about this earlier because I didn't want you guys to get hung up on it. There are no instructions on how to do this, but if you noticed in the beginning, there are little grommets inside the tubes here. Basically what they want you to do is wire this all the way through the tubes down to the bottom of the cab, and that's where things kind of end. I'm actually going to show you a much easier way of going about it. We're actually going to splice off all this crazy extra spaghetti here. We're going to make a nice short connection from our new third brake light to our existing third brake light. It's easy. You only need hand tools, so I'll go ahead and show you guys how to get that done. Okay, so like I said, we're going to wire our new third brake light directly into our existing third brake light. Really easy way to go about this is to have two spade connectors as well as two quick splice connectors. We're going to feed directly into the existing power of our current third brake light. Because these wires are outside, we're also going to have some electrical tape to wrap them up, and you're going to need a pair of vice grips, a crimper, and a stripper. So as you can see, wiring up the third brake light is pretty straightforward. Now the way I did it is just one method. Couple of things to keep in mind. If you wanted to, you could tackle the whole wiring through the tube bit, and if you wanted to, you could actually wire it into your tail light, and that would actually get rid of any exposed wiring whatsoever, but it's a little bit more time consuming. One other thing, if you wanted to only have the new brake light lighting up, then you could remove the bulb from the original one. That way you don't have both lighting up at the same time. But at any rate, I just wanted to show you guys how to get it done. That way you have a nice little warm and fuzzy overall. That also wraps up my review of the Black Horse off-road roll bar, fitting your 09 to 18 Ram 1500. I'm Travis, thanks for watching. For all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.